When things got together and we figured out that we were going to work on such a legendary IP, we're very, very excited. It's a huge opportunity. And also the fact that it hasn't been a game for 14 years just adds to the excitement of a comeback of this game in gaming.
The colleagues that we have here are phenomenal, and I think taking all of their experience from the sort of agent fantasy that they've been building for all these years and applying it to the Bond franchise has been incredible to see and to be a part of. We're making a standalone James Bond game, but there are characters and locations that I think are going to make the fans of the novels and the fans of the movies and the cinematic history really smile. In any kind of IP where there's some known aspects of the character, you can initially view these as constraints, but really they're strengths because we get to work with all these amazing partners. Aston Martin and Land Rover, collaborations with Omega, and all of these things lends itself a sense of credibility to the player that this is a real James Bond experience.
Crafting this character has been both exciting and extremely challenging because it's a balance between being very true to Ian Fleming's novels on the character, yet bringing some part of IO into that.
The most special thing about our version of Bond is that it's an IO reimagination of the origin of Bond himself. And it allows us to really dive in and learn about what it takes to enter this world of espionage.
It was very important to us from early on that we didn't want to synthesize Bond. We didn't want to go in and cherry pick qualities from different aspects of stories or whatever. We wanted to make something that was fully original. So he's young. He's someone who doesn't yet know all the things we know about James Bond. He has all the core qualities. So he is irreverent. He's inherently charming. He's funny, but he's not yet cold. He's not callous. He's a more energetic. He has that impatience of youth built into him.
Somewhere in between a naive, not yet worn down, principled young man, and then that journey onto this hard-hitting, colder guy that we might recognize. That space there was really inspiring to us.
He is very true to his North Star and his values. And the story is very much about when you meet the harsh, political, dangerous world out there, how does a young man fare while still retaining his values?
Not only will we get to experience the character changes and the lessons he needs to learn, but also how he gets his famed gear.
The world is a big part of how you solve the problems as you get to them. Using the environment and weapons and charm, and obviously gadgets is a huge part of that. We have a lot of the gadgets you'd expect and then quite a few you wouldn't.
So our longtime fans from our Hitman franchise can expect to recognize some of these core elements from our interactive in our James Bond game.
A really core aspect of this game is what we call creative approach. And it has to do with standing outside a lavish location. We're going to give you an objective in here. You absolutely need to be able to do that in a bunch of different ways. But I think the biggest difference is that you need a lot of patience to play Hitman. You need to be sitting there seeing the patrol. He goes over there and he likes wine and you overhear that thing. But Bond, he can also just walk through the front door. I'm actually just going to go and talk to them. I'm just going to go punch him right now. If you're a James Bond that wants to crouch along, the covers and be careful and all that stuff, that's your Bond and that's fine. But we've crafted a game that has a lot more forward momentum.
Spycraft is part of our DNA. However, in terms of Bond, there are two key differences.
The agent we were working with before, he is an empty shell, right? He's a chameleon, whereas just Bond is very much a personality.
A big part of the fun of playing the game is to see what he'll say, because he always has something great to say that you wouldn't have thought of. His quick wit and talking your way into and out of trouble is a big part of the core loop as well.
If Hitman is a single-minded killer and basically the bad guy of the game, Bond is the hero. And that means that we are much more focused on his journey as a character, and we are much more focused on saving the world.
I think it's safe to say that we're dialing the action to 12 on this one. We wanted a physical Bond. We wanted fighting to be visceral and brutal and violent and super fun and exciting. So we've spent a great amount of energy on making a system of free-flow combat where you're fighting multiple opponents at once. You can grab them and punch them and throw them into each other, use the environment.
We really did strides and upping the dynamism, the kinetic feel of the combat, be that the melee combat and the shooting and the seamless in and out between that. It's very, very exciting. We as a studio and as a team have evolved a lot to do top class action, spectacle moments and spectacle situations, all interactive. The situations you get into are absolutely wild. It's because that's the 360 experience that our fans deserve and expect from a Bond experience.
And we've really pushed our engine to sort of bring on this higher level of spectacle and fidelity to the game.
This production has pushed our internal tech beyond, like miles ahead of what we were able to do before.
Depicting these beautiful different cities and locations, exotic types of vehicles, not just normal vehicles. So take everything we know, but also evolving with technology to deliver an experience that is more advanced than we've ever done before.
This has to be a larger-than-life action adventure story, and that's what we've delivered. But it's always with character at its center. There's never action for action's sake. It's because it leads to the next thing. It's because he needs and has to do this in order to succeed.
Having worked on Hitman on and off for 20 years, this is the combination of all that work, all that skill, all that practice coming together and finally seeing the ultimate spy fantasy come to life.